What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Ryan, this is Auto Detour, and since filming the last video we have hit 17,000 subscribers. So I wanted to take just a second at the beginning of today's video just to thank you guys for that. Just kind of unbelievable that we've reached this point. I don't know what else to say other than thank you guys. So in today's video we're going to be doing some maintenance on Gramps behind me here. You can see he's already up on the lift. We're finally taking Gramps to the drag strip, and that's not going to be today's video, but that's coming up this weekend, so I want to make sure that he's ready to go. So we're going to be changing the transmission fluid, which I've never done since I've owned the truck, the diff, the rear diff, and the transfer case fluid. We're not doing the front diff because that was just changed during a previous video when we had to repair the four-wheel drive on the truck. So no need to do that today. So let's put this new lift to good use. Let's get these fluids changed out. As promised in the last video, we're only putting a different spring in the wastegate and kind of playing around with that before we go to the drag strip. And also stick around to the end of the video. As I mentioned in the last video, we're going to be doing a merch giveaway. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Let's jump right into it. So first off, I stopped by O'Reilly this morning and got all my fluids, my transmission filter. They did not have enough fluid for the rear diff, which I think it takes 2.5 or 2 3/4 quarts. They only had 1 quart of that, so I'm going to be swinging by tomorrow morning to pick up the rest of that. But so we're just going to pop up here. Get this guy drained. I already took that bolt out. Don't worry, it wasn't missing. Get this guy drained down into my fancy new drain pan here and see how that fluid looks. Hopefully it doesn't smell too burnt. I have messed myself. Well, I made a bit of a mess. I wasn't really thinking when I loosened up that last bolt and it just kind of came pouring out of there. Whoopsie. The good news is the transmission fluid looks pretty good. And it doesn't smell burnt. Bad news is I just made a giant mess. We got the pan out here now and just take a look in here. Fluid still looks pretty good. It's still red. Doesn't smell burnt. Now take a look at the magnet here. We have a little bit of got some junk on the magnet here. So let's get that cleaned off. Let's take a look at the transmission now that it's opened up here. Alright, so I'm not even going to pretend like I know how automatic transmissions work, but there it is. Pull that filter off there. Get the new one installed, and we're going to get that pan just put right back in place and get my mess cleaned up. There we have our nice cleaned up oil pan. Nice fresh cleaned off magnet. Let's go get that filter out of there and the new one put in. Making more mess. Perfect. Now I just tried stuffing the new filter up in there, but turns out the old gasket is still wedged up in there from the old filter, so we got to get that guy out of there. So I'm using this pointed 90-degree pick here. I'm actually stabbing it into the rubber because I don't want to scratch the metal sealing surface. I'm actually starting to be able to pull it down here just like that. There we go. Make sure you get that guy out of there before you stuff the new one in. So you see the new one already has one on it. There we go. That fit much better. This is a reusable pan gasket, so I'm just going to wipe this down, make sure it's nice and clean. So it did fall on the floor. I just want to make sure there's no junk on it before we stick this gasket back up there. Then we'll get that pan put back in place and get it filled up with fresh transmission fluid. And you'll see when we get to the top side that it's going to be kind of fun to grab the dipstick because it is nestled down there nice and deep in all my turbo piping. So I'll show you where that's at when we get this all put back together and get to the top side to start filling some fluid. Check that out. My Cracker Jacks box came with a prize in it. This is actually the plug that goes in the dipstick tube during assembly. When they're done assembling it, they put the dipstick in and just pop this guy down into the transmission pan. So that basically tells me that the pan has never been taken off this transmission. All the fluid changes must have been one of those fluid exchanges through the dipstick tube. All right, so I finally got that massive oil slick cleaned up. The pan is back on and tight. I just got to get the base plate put back over the cables for the lift. And let's get this truck down and get it filled up with transmission fluid. We got the transmission fluid all filled up and topped up, and I went and drove it, warmed it up, checked the fluids. Actually drives better than it did before, so there must have been something up with the fluid. It didn't smell burnt, but the torque converter is nice and smooth now. I was having issues with it shuddering when I was kind of idling in forward or reverse, but that's much smoother now, so that's obviously good. So I don't know what would have caused that, but obviously the new fluid helped. But while we're up top here, I wanted to show you what I was talking about with reaching the transmission fluid dipstick. It is right down there. I'm gonna have to get a light. Just wedged so perfectly in between the up pipe and the down pipe. I'm still shocked that I was able to leave that dipstick where it was at. I wanted to show that to you guys. If you weren't here for the turbo build, it's kind of interesting. You know, I have to do some weird stuff like that, like that dipstick and the oil cap. You can barely see it there, is under the downpipe, so I can't get the oil cap off. So every time I do an oil change, I have to fill the oil through the dipstick tube over on the other side. Anyway, we're out of time tonight and we're racing in the morning, so we're actually not going to get to doing the transfer case and the rear diff fluid. The transmission was the important one that I wanted to get done, and obviously it needed it. Because of that, it's getting late, so we're just going to jump straight to throwing a new spring in the wastegate, and I think we're going to start with an 8-pound spring. With my 2-port boost controller here, an 8-pound spring will give me the ability to go up to 16 pounds of boost at 100% on the boost controller. So that's more than enough to probably get me into trouble. We can always set a boost cutoff on the boost controller, so that should be a little bit of fun, something to play around with at the drag strip tomorrow. But before we throw that spring in there, I mentioned that I was going to do a merch giveaway. I'm not wearing a hat right now, but I'll throw a picture of the hats that I have available on the screen here. I want you guys to guess what you think Gramps is gonna run at the drag strip tomorrow. Whoever gets the closest to time and mile an hour, I'll let you pick which hat you'd like and I'll ship it off to you. But whoever gets the closest on quarter mile time and mile an hour crossing the finish line. So leave your guesses below. Whoever gets closest before the drag strip video comes out. Obviously I'll choose a winner before I post that video. Let's throw the 8-pound spring in there and see how well the old Triton 5.4 handles a little bit more boost. Okay, new spring is in there. Quite difficult to push the hat down and get the retaining collar on there, but we got it done. But grabbing the spring, I was reading the chart here, and the green spring is actually a 9-pound spring. I'm really gonna have to have some self-control tomorrow, because a 9-pound spring could add up to 18 pounds of boost if I turn the boost controller all the way up. So that should be fun. So I do have this fine-tune adjustment on top here. I'm gonna leave that all the way up. I'm gonna run without any boost controller at first and see where the spring alone puts me, and then we'll adjust from there to see what kind of boost levels we can hit using the boost controller. I hate to film in the dark here, but we got a race tomorrow, so we're gonna go and test this guy out. I've turned the wastegate down to 0, so we should just be at spring pressure right now, which hopefully we get somewhere near 9 pounds. So we're just gonna go out here, let the engine warm up a little bit, and then see where we are for base spring rate. All right, so here we go. All right, so that was in second gear. We maxed at 7.3 there. So we still may need to turn the screw down a little bit on top of the hat to increase that spring rate a little bit, but let's give it another try here. Yeah, I think I only saw about 6.5 there. So yeah, we're gonna have to turn the screw down on the top hat, see if we can't get the spring rate close to 9 pounds where it's supposed to be, and then we'll turn the controller up. All right, so I just got out and turned the screw all the way down where we had it with the 6-pound spring. Hopefully we can get 9 pounds out of this spring, and then we'll see what happens. Got 8.6. I'm gonna call that pretty close, because I think we weren't quite at 6 PSI with the 6-pound spring. We were at like 5.5, I think. Close to 6. So it seems to be happiest with that screw turned all the way down to add a little more pressure to the spring to get it closer to the correct boost level. So now let's turn up the boost controller, see what happens. Boost controller to 50% now, see where that lands us. Awful. So we get 13.2. Wonder what my boost cut's set at. Whew, 13.2. No sweat. I think 50% is a great place to start, but the really loud vibrating noise coming from over on the wastegate side, I'm not sure what that is. Let's see if it'll do it again. Yeah, I think my boost cut's set at 13 something. Let's see. Yeah, oh, it's set at 13.2, that's why. Let's just turn it up to 14.1 real quick. Alright, so we just bumped the boost cut up to 14.1. Okay, well, that seems to be about right. 13.9. It's the highest boost pressure we've hit ever in grams. Just for kicks, since we're so close at 13.9, we're just gonna go for 14 real quick. Well, I think that's all we're gonna hit tonight. Well, we're back at the garage. We seem to have overtasked the catch can again. Yummy. Well guys, that's gonna do it for tonight's video. Took Gramps out back for his daily beating and got that transmission fluid changed. So this video was a bit all over the place in that way, but should be ready for the drag strip tomorrow. Be sure to tune in for that video. Subscribe if you haven't already. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up. I'll see you guys next time.